couple things happened here. One, Patriots had a good competitive day on Thursday. That second practice, a lot of people, Taylor included, I think, kind of said that might have been Mac's best overall practice of the summer, and one of the best the team has looked. In a competitive environment. So that might have meant you might not have seen them or seen much of them to play in the game, and they did get out there, and I think part of that is to try to get game speed. But again, you're playing behind, 2/5 of an offensive line, maybe not even. Trent Brown barely played. One development on the offensive line, we did see Taylor Riley Reef apparently is no longer a tackle, which isn't a terrible thing. And he got kicked inside. He started the game at guard. But, what did you see out of that first team offense with the caveat that there's no time. There's not a lot of time. That pocket's collapsing quick. Even when he made throws, he had to get them off, quick. You had one sack where he got eaten alive, and that was Stuber coming in on the left side in for Trent Brown. That was DOA as far as that one goes. One that might have been maybe he held it a tick too long, or it was a coverage sack. Again, it closed quick, but it wasn't as bad as that. But almost all of it, he had to move around in the pocket a lot to make some of his throws, and I thought did all right.
Yeah, I think this is what we've seen from Mac in the joint practices. Like even the first practice, we all say that the second one was good. I didn't think he was bad in the first joint practice. I thought it was just the same thing we've been seeing as pressure. Didn't really have time to go downfield, and I think that affected a lot of people's perception because there was a lot of dinking and dunking and not a lot of explosive plays. And then in the second practice, you saw he finally uncorked one to Devontae Parker, and that was kind of what I think changed a lot of people's perceptions. But I thought what we saw today was pretty much what we've seen. Kendrick Bourne in camp has been money on those slants. We saw the RPO slant to convert a 2nd and 11. We saw a dig completion where Mac, there was a free rusher because looked like Mafi and Stuber had trouble picking up a stunt, and Mac got leveled. Free rusher got a clean hit at him, and he still put it up there and let Kendrick Bourne get a chance at it. So I thought he had a really good performance. It was good to see Kendrick Bourne get involved as well. He's someone who has been kind of inconsistent in camp. He's had his flashes for sure, and it's not like he hasn't, been contributing at all. But it was nice to see Matt kind of lock in on him and see Kendrick Bourne kind of do well in that capacity. There was the one throw, like his incompletions even weren't really bad. There was the play to Devontae Parker, play action, the deep shot, where again, he took a hit and it looked like the ball went through Devontae Parker's hands. At first, I thought that he was just barely out of reach, but I think it was actually a good throw. He had the throw to Hunter Henry, where I think it was a miscommunication, where he thought Henry was going to be more outside.
He threw it up the seam, and Henry was looking the other direction. Definite miscommunication. Not sure it was on. That was pretty well designed there because you saw the coverage kind of both of them, bit and went over towards the, the receiver running a go, and Henry was wide open on the seam. So he did miss. That was a miss. It's hard to say who that was on.
Yeah. And then
the
there was
Parker
another
one too. When you watch that again, you watch that a couple of times, it really was a money throw. It looked like Parker, Alligator didn't quite go full for it. It looked like it was within his reach. I mean, just, he didn't really extend for it. It looks like he might have even hitched, a little bit. That throw was pretty solid for, getting downfield, for a guy who's, who's always going to be kind of sort of covered, he had him there. So that was a good throw, I thought.
And then the other incompletion was a batted pass where, again, it looked like Kendrick Bourne got wide open on slant. It was on the money. It was a great read by the safety. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we've seen from Mac is the offensive line doesn't look good, but he's been putting it on his receivers. He's been accurate. Downfield, I think the only really times he's been inconsistent are some of the fades in the red zone. But for the most part, he's been accurate throughout camp. And Bill O'Brien said the winner of this job is going to be the guy who's most consistent. Now, to be fair, Bailey Zappi hasn't really been given him much competition to begin with. But we've also seen that Mac every single day looks like a clear-cut starting quarterback. And, hopefully the offensive line can get it together once Cole Strange is back. I think they're just being conservative with him. Onwenu, I think, is probably going to miss some time to start the year because I haven't really heard any updates on him. He's been around, which is a good sign.
Real quick, let me just give a quick update from the Patriots. Have just sent an update on Isaiah Bolden. The Patriots said that cornerback Isaiah Bolden sustained an injury during the fourth quarter of tonight's game. He had feeling in all his extremities, but has been taken to a local hospital for further tests and observations. So that's the first checked box. there, which is good. But obviously, awaiting more word. But that's definitely some good news there. So again, more updates as we have them. But yeah, continue on here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm kind of just going on, but yeah, Mac has been good. I thought it was a continuation of what we've seen in camp, and I was talking about the offensive line. You hope that gets figured out. Like I said, Cole Strange is probably going to be coming back week 1. I think they're just being cautious with him. Mike Nwenu could miss some time, although he's been at practices and you've seen him around. So that's a positive
I'm more
sign.
worried about Strange than Onwenu at this point. I think you've seen Onwenu. We haven't even seen Strange since he went down.
I saw Strange right after that injury. Like, he was exploding. He was in his pass sets. He was pulling. So that one seems more like they're being very, very careful with him. We saw them be cautious with Trent Brown as well. I don't know what he was dealing with exactly, but it took a while for him to start getting involved, and he was out even longer or before Cole Strange was. So yeah, I think if the offensive line gets it together, this is going to be a more formidable Patriots passing offense than a lot of people are maybe assuming. A lot of that goes to Bill O'Brien, but I think a lot of that also goes to Mac buying into this new system and doing well there. But yeah, it was a good performance from him. I saw some people on Twitter didn't think so. I don't really know what they were watching necessarily.
From who?
I don't know. Just it's Twitter,
No,
everybody's
on which player?
Oh no, Mac. Just people saying that they didn't think he had a good night, but I thought he was putting the ball where he needed to be. He was standing in versus pressure. Like, I don't know what else you wanted from him.
I thought Mac did as much as he could have possibly done tonight. I'm not I think it's very convenient to blame the O-line every single time a quarterback struggles. Mm-hmm. But in this case, this game and last, which Mac did not play, it's really hard to assess what, if anything, is going on with the Patriots offense, whether what O'Brien's doing is going to work, whether it's even going to matter. It turns out you really need, a good O-line in football. Who knew? And you definitely need tackles. And they've basically been playing with basically no tackles. They're not playing with NFL caliber tackles.
Well, Trent Brown's pretty damn good.
Yeah, but he hasn't played. He played like 5 snaps tonight. You know what I mean? It's like,
I mean, to be fair, he threw somebody down. It was pretty sick. On the play where I think he got hit by City, so you see on the other side of the line, Trent took somebody and threw him to the ground. I'm just saying, the left side's good as long as Trent's there.
What I'm saying is you've barely seen Trent Brown. All I'm saying is you're counting on a guy who's difficult to count on, and certainly he's solid in that role if he can, play and be healthy and make it through a season. But what we've seen for the majority of 2 preseason games is very little, starting caliber tackle play from this team. And that's going to be a problem if they don't figure that out. It's going to be a problem no matter what on the right side. You hope one of the, maybe a rookie or someone can kind of morph into that role, or you might just be desperate and have to kick Onwenu back out to the right just out of necessity. And that's worked in the past, and I wouldn't be stunned if that's what ends up happening, even though he's so good where in his more natural position. But yeah, it's been rough. It's really hard to assess what's going on with this team. But yeah, they did have the slants going, that little game, and you think that's what they're going to run. I'm glad this wasn't just all screens like we saw in game 1, which was a bummer and kind of depressing, because that to me was like borderline capitulation. Like, hey, we know we can't protect, so we're just going to have to run this kind of stuff all season long.
They're building.
Yeah, sure. And you're happy to see some positive movement, taking a couple of shots downfield and being able to hit a couple of passes. But again, impossible to really get a good sense of what these guys are capable of doing until you have an entire healthy offensive line and then see how they do there.
CLNS Media Network is powered by FanDuel Sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston and start earning bonus bets when you bet on a Super Bowl winner. You can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season.